And we're live on Matt Talks Back, episode number 1, the first official episode. We've done a couple of little play around episodes here and there, just trying to figure out the software. But now we're live, and we probably have one of the most important episodes that we're ever going to do. You're supposed to start small. We say, fuck that, here at Matt Talks Back. We're going straight to number 1. All right. Everybody pour a drink because you're going to have to buckle in for this one. There's going to be some scary things we talk about, but there's some hope on the end of this bad boy, too. Let's dive into it. Our guest today, as you saw during the intro screen there, is Trevor Metz, host of the podcast Not a Team Player, which is a podcast all about China and teaching us here in North America what China is all about and what life in China really is, because we don't really get the real story. Now, the life in China story is a little bit crazier right now because of this craziness that we're dealing with, COVID-19 virus. Let me introduce you to Mr. Trevor Metz. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Hey, buddy. Very honored to be your very first official guest.
Absolutely, man. It's great to have you on. Now, for people that might even remember you, why don't you explain who you are and what you did here in Prince George just a few years back?
Well, I'm a BC boy, born and bred in British Columbia. I got into media a bit later in my life, but I first started off in Kamloops, doing radio there, where I won a Jack Webster award, and then I was taken on by PGTV. And what was the radio station up there?
99.3 The Drive.
Drive, that's right, The Drive. And I worked there for a couple of years doing TV, media, and radio. And then I got a job offer from China Radio International over 15 years ago. Hopped on a plane, and here I am, still in Beijing. I was only supposed to go a year, and it's 15 years later.
Holy crap. Man, it's great to have you on the show. It's, man, been how many years since we've chatted anyway? Probably...
Well, like, face-to-face like this, like 15.
Yeah. So great to see you again. Great to hear you doing well.
I was telling a story about you last night in the bar, and we all had a good laugh. That time you juggled that water onto the board and the control room. Like rule 1, never take water into a control room. Rule 1, and sure enough, Matt, he had to juggle the jug of water he had all the way over to dump that water on the board.
You know what? That story is even worse than what you're saying, because here's how it happened. 6 a.m. Were we 550 CKPG at that time, or were we 99.3 The Drive?
We were CKPG.
CKPG, yeah. So what had happened was I actually came in and just poured myself the most massive quad coffee you have ever seen in your entire life and walked into the control room. And as I walked in, I tripped over the mat that was that our on-air chair was sitting on. And if I would have just let the cup fall, we would have been totally fine. Everything would have been cool. It would have hit the floor, and I would have had a little cleanup. But I reached for it, and I caught just the tip of the glass, and it tipped up and over, and it just hit the board and went sploosh. And it was just like in the cartoons when it went zzz, 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 zzz.
Oh, man, I remember you came running in the newsroom. You're like, hey, man, you gotta help me, man. Like, the board's like on fire. And I walked in and went, what'd you do? And I said, unplug it. You said, I tried that. And, all right, well, I'm gonna go home then. No newscast. You're like, that's it. You're leaving. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm the news guy. Like, you know, not the electrician.
Oh, I almost walked out too. I was like, do I call them or do I just fucking leave? Because I'm pretty sure my job's over anyway.
This is amazing.
No, I didn't. I didn't even get punished. My punishment was that day, though, because that was absolutely one of my worst days in radio. No doubt about it.
Oh wow. It's a good story now, though.
Oh, it's been a good story right from day one all the way through. I'm cool with it. All right, so let's get down to things a little bit here. Now, COVID-19, we're just really getting into the details of it here in North America, here in Canada especially. You have been dealing with this for quite a while now, and maybe you guys are possibly seeing the light at the end of the day here. Do me a favor and tell me about the first time that you heard about COVID-19 in China.
Well, we knew it was an issue. I came back. I was actually home for Christmas. And as I came back, it was just the rumblings of this was starting to come around. And we started talking about this, that this thing was in Wuhan, where weirdly enough, that's where my ex-wife is from. I've been to that city many times. Some of the world's best noodles ever are from the city of Wuhan.
I've heard this.
Real game, yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Anyway. Anthony Bourdain did an amazing show in Wuhan that blew my freaking mind. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, would have had that and the fish head and whatever. Anyway, yes. So we heard about this was coming, and people were getting really panicky. And the government probably didn't do anything for a good couple weeks because I don't think they had a really good idea of what they were dealing with. You see things here. They had the African swine flu that wrecked all the cow or the pigs here.
Right.
It devastated the entire pig population in China, which is why everybody's paying more for protein and meat's more expensive around the world.
Right.
And they didn't do a great job of that. And then they've had other issues, health scares and viruses and whatever. So I don't think they knew exactly what they were dealing with. And then when they did, they went full on. I mean, they're sparing no expense. The city of Wuhan's like 12 million people, right? Like it's hard to get a grasp on that amount of people, but they basically just encircled the entire city and forced everybody home, complete lockdowns where they were bringing food to your doors. I mean, the economic damage, they basically shut off the whole province of Hubei.
Wow.
So I can't even guess, 50 million people, maybe. I don't even know how many are in Hubei, but a lot.
Yeah.
And they basically sealed off that entire province. And then what they did to the rest of the countries, because then it was too late. The problem was Spring Festival. Do you know what that is? Chinese New Year?
No. Oh, okay. I've heard of this. Yeah.
It's the largest human migration in the world. Everybody goes home for Spring Festival. Unfortunately, that was exactly when the outbreak happened.
Oh, no.
So they should have shut down Spring Festival, really. But to say that'd be saying, sorry, kids, there's no Christmas this year. So they didn't, right? So, that's literally what if you're going to look at it as opposed to, it would be losing Christmas.
Right.
So they let everybody travel over the country, and then they realized they had all these problems. So they just told everybody, you're now locked down. There's no going out generally. You just try and social distance. You're wearing masks. In my building, they wouldn't so I'm not allowed to have any visitors, no girlfriends, no friends.
Right.
And at nighttime, they were putting chains around the only door in and out of my building. And I'm on the top floor on 38. So, and I was freaking out, right? And I own a bar, and I come in way past 10, right, when they put on the chains, and I'm banging at the door at 2 a.m. And the little crotchety guard gets up, and he's pissed off, and he unlocks the door, very unwillingly, but it was that or I was kicking the door in.
Yeah.
And one of my dogs is blind, so I've got a carrier everywhere, so standing there kind of half pissed with the dog. It was a weird scene. And so they stopped doing that, but they were chaining the door so nobody in and out. Didn't matter if there was going to be a fire. Just crazy measures. But I will say this: they haven't shut down bars and restaurants fully. A lot of them did, because there's nobody to go anyway. Everybody's just staying home. Nobody's going out.
Yeah.
But I tried to stay open, and I haven't remained open. But you have to do certain things. You have to stay over a meter or two apart.
Just so people understand, we haven't said this yet. You also own Plan B, which is a bar in Beijing, right?
Yep. We've been running Plan B for about 7 years now.
Right.
So you can't be too close. Well, we got reported, okay? Somebody saw in through our door. And so the foreigners, we weren't taking this as seriously as we probably should, to be honest.
Right.
We were all fucking hugging each other and high-fiving, because we've been in isolation for so long that when we finally were able to go see each other, it was just a man orgy.
A lot of man love. I understand.
Yeah, it's just everybody was just so happy to see each other and spend time and have these conversations again and have a pint with a normal life.
Yeah. I mean, we're just getting to that point now. I mean, I've been locked down. I think this is day 14. This is 2 weeks that we've now been locked down. And honestly, my wife and I locked down probably, I would say 4 or 5 days before we saw most of Prince George locked down. Some of the bigger cities were a little bit ahead of us, but I was watching all the news coming in from Italy. I was watching the actually Italian news. I wasn't watching the North American news about Italy. I was watching the Italian news, and I was seeing the devastating effects, especially on the older population there. And I was like, fuck. If this comes here, and I mean, I was looking at Prince George, we've got 8 ICU beds 8 intensive care unit beds, and I think we might have 12, 13 ventilators. And most of them are already in use. So I was like, fuck me. Like, if this hits Prince George, we're screwed on day 3. So I told my wife, I was like, we got to go shopping. And she looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, oh, you're one of those. And I said, no, I don't need fucking 500 rolls of toilet paper. I just need to make sure we got food. So let's make sure we have rice. Let's make sure we've got some canned vegetables and just some stuff, some frozen meat and things. So we did that. And then we locked down. And it was about 5 days later that we really saw people locking down here. So how...
You guys are going crazy. Like, nobody did that shit in China. Nobody's fucking hoarding toilet paper. Nobody's running to the store and taking all the food off their shelves. Like, okay, I'm a big critic of China.
Yeah.
I've seen the craziest shit you'll ever see. Like, this place, Thursdays, you just shake your head, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, nobody, like, panicked, bought anything here.
Really?
You know what I mean? Nothing. Like, nothing got swept. I go down to the Carrefour. It's like a Safeway.
Yeah.
And it's more or less empty, full of food.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, nobody did anything remotely like that.
So, where do people get their food from? I mean, if you guys were locked down, what?
No. We weren't locked down like you guys are locked down now. So Wuhan was, and Hubei was.
Right.
And then if you had a hotspot in your community, yeah, then you are.
Right.
But, like, I've been here the whole time. And so I have no chance of really getting it.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I got it, then it'd be locked down. But if you don't, they're letting you do your thing. You got to wear masks. You got to have, like, when you come into my bar, you have to use your phone, and it's got an app on it, and you scan the QR code, and they know exactly where you have been.
Right.
So you haven't left the city, and, they know where your cell has been. It's pretty big brother-y type stuff. But they know, and then you can go about your business.
So who's scanning that? Is that your employees, or is that like officials?
So the way my community is like a walking street, no cars up and down, like sort of like an art district kind of thing.
Yep.
There's like 20 gates into this thing, but they blocked off every gate except for 2.
Okay.
And so they have like a guard little booth there with 2, like, they're really nice guys. Actually, the guard's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He goes, if my dog wanders off the blind when he always chases her back. He's a good guy. He always tries to give me cigarettes. That guy, he scans to get into the community, and then sometimes they might ask us to rescan inside the bar. But we have a thermometer, so you have to take your temperature for everybody. You have to have them register. You have to, we have lots of hand sanitizer around, so you can just, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
We have surgical masks as well.
Okay, and that's what we have none of in Canada, and they're trying to work on that supply problem right now. No supply masks, no hand sanitizer. It's nowhere.
That's just mental. Oh, that was the situation here at the very beginning for about 2 weeks. And then they quickly resolved that. They just pumped up production, and now you can get masks and sanitizer everywhere.
Right. Okay. Well, like I'm a liquor rep now. I got out of the media game a couple years ago, and now liquor rep. We started working from home 10 days ago officially, and actually a lot of Diageo's customers are actually now, they've shut some of the places that are not in operation. They've fired them up. They're giving some people that have been laid off jobs, and they're making hand sanitizer out of that too. So I think our issue here is going to turn around relatively quickly as well. They just had to see the problem and fill the void.
Well, look, I'm telling you what, North America and Europe, you guys are fucked. You can't do what they did here. And so you're going to see that spread of that disease for quite some time. You guys are in for a very difficult, at least 6 months in my estimation.
You think 6 months, eh? Do you think it's like
we're 3 months in here, right?
Yeah.
And you guys can't do what they did.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. Like, we just won't have. It'd be like sealing off Toronto, like Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver combined in population.
Yeah.
And just none of you are leaving, none of you are going anywhere. Like, you can't do that. We still travel. We still got to see our families, and like they all basically. China's really family oriented, right?
Right.
So they raced home to their parents. Everybody raced home to their parents, and staying in their hometowns and their whatever, and they haven't left. We're 3 months into this, and they're canceling school here, like international schools. Public schools are going back, I think next month, but this is what I mean. That's 4 months with no public school.
Right.
Is Canada to go 4 months with no public school?
I don't know. We're sitting in the unknown right now. It's so tough, right? We're looking around, and every day there's something new where you go, "Oh shit, I didn't see that side effect. Oh shit, I didn't see that side effect." So, man, I don't know. I mean, kids were supposed to go back this week? I guess today would have been the day.
The school year's done.
Yeah.
Like, you can write that off. Just like the NHL season, it's over. Like, all the sports, they're all done.
Yeah.
The problem is, millions of people have it, and we just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, to eradicate this is like saying we're going to stop the flu.
Well, we're hearing some rumors that some people are tracking this back, and some people believe that they may have had this as early as August of last year.
You know, I swear I had it back last year, because I remember reading, I was telling you, that girl that head off to her parents when we were talking off the air, that she kept saying, "I feel so weird. This is just the weirdest thing." And, like, you know, I remember her symptoms, and then I kind of had it, and all my friends sort of had this weird cough and cold, and it just felt a little bit different than everything else.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it took a long time to go away. It took a couple of weeks or so to go away, maybe a full month.
Yeah.
But that seems to me think like, maybe I had it, and we just didn't know.
Well, and you know, I mean, we know this about viruses too. They mutate. So it's very possible that virus came along. People are saying it came from Wuhan and people eating bat soup. Possible.
Wouldn't surprise me either.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. No, totally possible. So let's say it gets out that way, and then it hits the population, and people say, "Holy shit, the worst flu I've ever had." And then it mutates. And then all of a sudden now no longer does it hit you and in 2 or 3 days you get it. Now it's 2 weeks. Now this thing fucking moves around the country. Now this thing all of a sudden, people, you don't see it fast and people don't isolate fast. You're spreading it for 2 weeks before somebody sits down and goes, "Oh shit, I should probably be okay now." And in North America, there's no fucking sick days. There's no sick days anywhere. So,
I'm telling you, North America's fucked. I worry about Canada getting the virus. I worry about America's social unrest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's my bigger concern down there, because my dad lives in the States. I'm worried somebody's going to, like, jack his car or, like, try and steal his house or something, right?
Where is your dad?
He's just across the line in Washington State.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Right? He's in a gated community. He's fine. He lives on a fucking golf course. I mean, he's fine. But, like, you know, he's of that age where that shit, when it hits, you're in big trouble. Yeah. But he's also, like, I just worry about the U.S. Everybody's jacking, like, everybody's got a gun in their pocket.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, and you got a madman at the helm too, so that makes things all that much more volatile. What are the Chinese people saying about USA's response to COVID so far?
I hate to say this, but they're almost like gloating about it. You know, like, look at how good of a job our government did, and those inept idiots can't get this shit together, despite the fact that it came from here, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't believe the Chinese numbers, but they did go balls out and to shut this down. Whereas they look at the States and just go, "Well, that's a shit show. Told you our system was better," you know?
Yeah.
And in some ways, I guess maybe it is, but, you know, we like our personal rights and freedoms. And, you know, one of the bigger problems I find back home is all the misinformation and the different media points of view. And, you know, like, that to me is really frightening.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, media got lazy. It's one of the reasons I had to get out. Yeah, I you know, the days that when you and I were doing our thing at CKPG and you were an investigative journalist. You remember that term? You remember that term, investigative journalist? There is not that anymore. You know, in the last the last 5 years that I was in that job, I got in a screaming match with a news director one day because I can't remember even what it was, but there was some issue going on downtown, and I got a call about it. I got an inside scoop on something that was happening with City Hall. And I was like, yes, here we go. Game on. Because I got a little journalist in me. Yeah, I'm a radio DJ, but I got a little journalist in me too. So I walked into our news director and I said, "Hey, man, just got a call about this thing. I think this is going down. We should probably look into it." And he went, "Huh, that's interesting. I'm going to wait for a news release." No, it was a guy named Kyle.
Okay.
Anyway, Yeah, he said, yeah, we're gonna wait for the news release on that, and then we'll write up a story. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Don't wait for a news release. Get out there and get the story. I don't want you to get the story from somebody else and then rewrite it yourself with their facts. Go get the facts yourself. And that's where we are in media these days here in North America as a whole.
The reason why I left BC Media is that I was applying, even after I won that Webster Award, I was applying for jobs and I'd never get them. Like in the last one, I applied for City TV or whatever it was called back in the day in Victoria. And they gave the job to Cheryl Bloxham, who's lovely. She is a lovely girl we used to date. And they gave it to her, and I called Hudson Mack, who was the news director, and I said, "What the fuck, man?" And he went, "Look, nobody's disputing that you're the far superior journalist here. Everybody knows you're a great journalist and better than her, but she's beautiful. I mean, look at her." And I went, "That's seriously what you're going for now? Like, not good news quality, but hot blondes?" And he's like, "It's television, man," and that's the way things went.
Yeah.
That day, I sent. Because I got all pissed off, and I sent my resume to China Radio International, and they wrote back like within an hour saying, "How fast can you get here?"
Yeah.
Right? Because they were just that keen on trying to get journalism. They can't do journalism for shit here.
Of course, yeah.
But at least they hired me. So.
Different system. What was it like working for them? I mean, we're getting off the COVID response, but who gives a shit? What was it like working for a Chinese media company? What type of stories were you covering, and how did that work?
Well, okay, first of all, again, I came over as an investigative journalism, which is not a thing here ever.
I was going to say that's not Chinese. Yeah.
No, it's all propaganda. Everything runs through the propaganda ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's literally called the propaganda ministry.
They call it that. No.
But they used to. I think they changed it to something else. But yeah, and it all runs out of this one big crazy ministry.
Okay.
And when I came over as a journalist, they said, "Well, now you're a talk show host." And I went, "Talk show host? The fuck you talking about? I've never hosted a talk show in my life." They said, "We think you'll be good at it." I'm like, "I just got here. How would you even know?" But from day one, they're like, "Okay, you're on a lifestyle talk show." And so
wow.
it was cool. So eventually we built that up to the #1 rated English radio talk show in China.
Wow.
Which is crazy numbers, like mental numbers.
Yeah.
We would go to Shanghai to meet get fans. They'd be lined up around the block, people coming in to see us, and like we had guys jumping over into the compound, and the guards arrested them. These are like military guys with fuck off guns on them too, right? Like,
holy crap!
No, there's no real journalism. Working for them sucked. I mean, I had fun with them. The talk show was fun. I got to meet lots of cool people and go lots of cool places and things like that. But there's certain things you can't talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, like they're just verboten. Like if you do, then you're in deep shit.
That's what blew my mind when you left. I was like, how the fuck is Trevor Metz going to operate in very tight China where you're not allowed to be an investigative journalist? Because that was your shit, man. I mean, the Dick Harris days, when you decided to take a run at Dick Harris, I mean, that's when your eyes lit up. That's when things got crazy. So why?
The best part was when they called the Conservative Party, whoever Stephen Harper's right-hand man, I can't remember his name anymore, but literally his right-hand man, called me up in the newsroom. I forgot to hit record on the phone. And he said, "The Conservative Party of Canada will never speak to you about anything ever again." And I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy got investigated for stealing from his own party by the RCMP. I didn't do this. Why are you mad at him?
Oh, those are the good days. All right, so back to coronavirus a little bit here. So once things started getting really crazy down there, we started seeing some videos that were purportedly from Wuhan, where people were riding their bikes through the streets of China, and there were people laying in the streets because they weren't allowed into buildings where there was healthy people. Did that happen? Is that something that you heard of there, or is that a little bit of bullshit?
I saw a lot of that too, and it probably did happen. In certain cases, I saw this fucking video yesterday, the day before, where so Hubei is now opening up its borders, yeah,
right,
that residents can get out into other. So the bordering province is called Shanxi, and or Jiangxi, and so the cops on the Jiangxi side came onto a bridge basically on the Hubei side and set up a barrier with thousands of people. So the cops on the Hubei side now came and tried to remove this barrier. So now you have thousands of cops on cops.
Yeah.
Like, the video is out there. Like, you can find it. It's mental. I've never seen they're overturning cop cars, people trying to keep them in their own province, not letting them out because they're that. So yeah, that shit happens.
Wow, that is unbelievable. See, and that's what I always thought too. I thought, okay, if China's shutting this down in 3 months, they have way more power than what we have here in North America. So you think we're screwed for 6 months? It could be way longer. You think what, up to a year?
I think you guys could go up to a year easy. Like, the economy is going to be absolutely devastated. But look at what's happening in the States. And the way this thing goes, like, it keeps re-flaring up too. So you can go get a negative test and then get a positive test, even after you've been tested for negative.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like, I think we're going to see a couple waves of this. And just the way our system is and our freedom of movement and just in general, I don't see this going away anytime soon. Mind you, like I said, I've been open during this whole time. My bar's been open, and we've been able to operate under strict guidelines. But you guys are completely shutting down, and that's impressive.
Well, we shut down the day. Actually, the day they put the order down was March 17th, St. Patty's Day, and as a rep for this brand right here, let me tell you something that was painful. I wonder if that was enough to crush the curve of the virus here in BC to maybe slow it down.
Well, you're going to slow. Look, I haven't gone this long with not being sick ever. You know what I mean? Like, right. In China, I'm always sick.
Yeah.
Like, I always have a stomach thing, or I always have a bit of a cold, or I've gone 3 months now without having shit because I'm hand sanitizing like 20 times a day.
Right.
I've got a fucking surgical mask on when I'm walking my dogs, like, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, everything's good. So, like, even when I'm closed, like, I'm closed Monday, Tuesdays, I still have the IE or, like, the cleaner come in.
Yeah.
And, like bleach everything, even on the days we're closed, like, just again and again and again. So, like, you have to be like that.
Okay.
Otherwise, that shit is just going to keep coming around.
So, okay. That's sobering news. How did you keep busy while you were quarantined? Was that a crazy time for you guys? Did you get...
Well, no, I had a psychologist on my show yesterday. She graduated from Yale and then Brown. She had her master's at Brown. Lovely, lovely girl. She'll be on Monday, I guess. And she was just saying, like, all these kids, so, like, the divorce rate's gone through the roof here.
For those of you wondering, by the way, Not a Team Player is the podcast. Make sure you follow Trevor. Where can they get you? Anywhere you get a podcast? Spotify?
Everywhere.
Cool. Okay, continue. Yeah.
So, like, you're saying the divorce rate is going through the roof in China because people are fucking meant to be with each other for 20 years. You're going to go through this with your wife, man.
Already am.
Yeah, well, this is like, you know, even though you live together like normal people do.
Yeah.
You're not meant to be 24/7.
That's right.
You got to have that time where you're alone at work or you're doing whatever with your buddies or you go play squash or whatever the fuck your game is, right? Like,
yeah.
You have to have that separation. And if you don't, you start at each other. I mean, I live alone, which kind of worked out well. It's just me and 3 dogs. You know, I'm kind of like that anyway. But I know a lot of people, they're having hard times. They need to get away from people. Everybody was binge. Okay, here's another thing that's happened. And they talked about this, and this applies to me and you clearly. Alcohol abuse and things like this. Like, it's gone through the roof. People don't want to go home. My bar used to close at 12. Yeah. Now I'm kicking people out at 2, 3, 4. And one morning I was walking the dogs at 5 and I hadn't been home yet. It's like speakeasy times, man. Everybody's drinking more. Nobody, like, everybody said, oh yeah, I'm going to use this time to better myself, educate myself, get more exercise.
Yeah.
Really, you know, that lasts for like 3 fucking days, and then you're like, Jesus, that bottle of wine is looking pretty good right now.
Well, you know, I and you're right. It's not just boredom though. I think people are scared, and I think it's like, Jesus Christ, like, if you're constantly feeling a little bit of anxiety, I think you're looking to cut that edge a little bit. And I've seen the numbers as a liquor rep here in BC. We're up about 60% in the last month here. Yeah. Yeah.
I imagine some of that's just that stupid panic buying, but yeah, I really thought I would get better sleep. I would do all these things.
Yeah.
I haven't done it. Like, I've been shit.
Yeah.
I've gained, like, right before this whole thing happened, I went on a big keto thing. I was exercising every day. I was looking boss.
Yeah.
I put on 20 pounds. Like again, I can't get the keto stuff like I used to, right?
Yeah.
Like my menu in my restaurant bar, I've had to reduce it by like over half.
I bet.
Because you can't. Well, you can't have vegetables around because they're perishable.
Right.
So you're and I hate wasting food. You try buying less and all that shit, but still, it's so hard to plan for a menu. So you basically stick to things like burgers and ribs,
French fries.
That, the things that can be frozen.
Yeah.
I got a veggie burger, but that doesn't really count, does it?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, and that's something we're seeing here too. Like every day we find another side effect that we didn't really think of before.
Is delivery a big deal there now? Like,
so it's starting to be delivery and pickup. Pickup is the big thing right now for a lot of spots. I mean, like Save On Foods will do delivery. They've got vans that are out delivering every day. But we're hearing reports now of people that are putting in an order for delivery, and they're like, "Oh yeah, your delivery date is 2 weeks from now," because they just don't have the resources for it. So
here, like there's literally a fucking army of guys. I'm not. That's not a joke. There must be 100,000 delivery drivers in Beijing alone. In Beijing.
Holy
so
shit.
So you can get anything you want delivered. I mean, fucking anything. You name it. You want fucking shoelaces? Boom. You got shoelaces.
Shoelaces! Oh, we just have food. Holy crap.
You can get anything. I bought lava lamps the other day, for Christ's sake.
So does that mean that your businesses in Beijing are open and now they're delivery only?
No, there's a lot of that. See, the problem is I have a retail space, right? It doesn't make economic sense for me to be doing a lot of delivery because the delivery guys take like 20% right off the top.
Right.
Right? So there goes your fucking margin, like right off the top. And you got to hire your staff, and I'm paying retail rent, not just like some backwater kitchen rent where you're just pushing food out like a factory.
Yeah.
So, like, it really doesn't make a lot of economic sense for me, and that's what's happened to a lot of places. They've started these sort of like black kitchens, they're hidden, and they just run these kitchens, and all they do is deliver food all day long.
Wow.
So it's killing my business because nobody wants to go out. They don't want to sit there, even though the weather's getting really nice now.
Yeah.
People are going to want to sit on my patio and things like that, so it will change. But we were doing the math last night, me and my business partner, going, unless this economy turns around in a right hurry, we're fucked.
Can you deliver?
I can, but I got to go through a delivery company. I can't hire my own delivery guy.
Or that's a problem? You can't do that. Is that a regulation from the government?
Well, it would be one of those things too. I'd have to justify a new salary and a bike, and you'd have to license him, and you'd have to insure him. So I mean, you're doing a lot to have that.
There, you couldn't like your servers and stuff obviously aren't working as much now. You can't flop that cost.
No, I know. I basically laid them all off.
Oh,
I've got one cook and one cleaner and one waitress / bartender.
Okay,
that's it. And I went from like a staff of 15 down to that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you guys, you liquor reps, you guys are taking it big time. Like they're desperate. Their business is down like 90%.
We're up a ton, but it's only because of panic buying, and I wonder how long it's going to happen.
Oh no, you'll go down there too. If there's no restaurants and people aren't going out and stuff like that.
Oh, that side of the business is screwed. Yeah, the OP restaurants are all closed, so we're screwed on that side. I'm what they call a dual rep, so I deal with retail as well. Retail's killing it. Retail is unbelievably busy right now, but it's panic buying and it's people just stocking up.
Yeah, I mean it'll go. Hang on a sec. Speaking of, I'm gonna grab a Corona.
Yeah, do that at Corona. I love it. He's getting a Corona.
I figured, since it is a show on the coronavirus, that I should probably have a Corona.
Their sales are down something crazy. Like, I saw the numbers the other day. I can't even remember. I want to say 300-400%.
It's crazy, man. That's mental. That ain't right.
That's just stupid people, is all that is.
Yeah. No, it's weird. It's really weird times, and I feel bad for people in North America and Western Europe and everything. Well, just because you don't know what you've got ahead of you. You've got months and months of this. People are going bonkers.
So, what is your recommendation for Canada? I mean, look, you're a former investigative journalist here in Canada. You understand the laws that we have here in our country. What would be your recommendation for Justin Trudeau tomorrow if he could just stand out there and say this is the plan for Canada?
Well, to be honest, I don't think he's done such a horrible job because I look at countries like internationally from afar. And I'm looking at Canada's response compared to, say, Germany's response, compared to Italy's response, the US's response. And Canada hasn't done that poor of a job, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sealing off the border was a really good move. I don't know, man. Like, all you can do is just try and get as much equipment. Educate, I guess, is just the biggest thing. Get masks on people. Whether they help a great deal or not, it gives people peace of mind as well.
Yep.
Just get as much hand sanitizer out there. Get people washing their hands. Education. It's the only thing that's going to help this.
Gotcha. How many times a day do you wash your hands?
Oh, like 50.
We're not doing it enough here in Canada. I can tell you that right now.
Well, again, I own a bar, right? So half the time, I wash my hands quite a bit anyway.
Right.
Classes and whatnot. So,
yeah.
But no, I wash my hands. Like, as soon as I get in, I wash my hands. As soon as I get to the bar, I wash my hands. Anytime I've been outside, especially, I wash my hands.
Right.
And you gotta have that shit. You gotta. The one piece of advice I can give to people during this time is to just try and relax and enjoy it. And I know that sounds maybe, like, duh, of course, but really, like, consciously think, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to try and use this time to do, like, things around the house, fix things around the house you've been meaning to fix, and just enjoy it. Like, try and take that mindset that this is a fucking vacation. Yep. And it's meant to be enjoyed. You know what I mean? Otherwise, right. you go nuts. You'll go bonkers.
I mean, people here in Canada right now, there's... I'm extremely lucky at the moment. I still have a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. I'm still working. There's a lot of people that are not, that were working paycheck to paycheck. I mean, we are hearing about some of the relief efforts that are coming out. Some of them relatively good. I mean, for people that don't have any type of EI qualifications, they're getting $1,000 payout, immediately type of thing.
I don't feel bad for anybody there because I get fuck all. I mean, no lube, no reach around, nothing. Like,
you got no help.
Nothing. I am using my retirement money to pay the staff and pay you fuckers in the supply side.
Yep.
Everybody else is getting paid but me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Paying the staff salaries, like, that's a must, right? You have to do these things.
So China had no programs for business owners or for people.
Dude, especially me as a foreign business owner. No, like, there's nothing. And for its people, like, what do you want them? What are they going to give them? Like, we're a bunch of privileged babies back in Canada when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
$1,000, holy shit! I would love $1,000. Where's my $1,000?
Wow. So economically, do you think China is going to come out of this thing okay?
No. This place is fucked too. Nobody seems to grasp what's happening. And I kept saying this, and I was getting worried that I was a bit of a prognosticator because everything I kept saying kept happening. Like, when I was saying, God, this economy's so screwed. When this all shuts down, like the GDP, blah, blah, blah. And then when that catches on in the rest of the world, nobody's going to want to buy Chinese manufactured goods anymore because they don't need them. Like exports. You think we're sending any wood to China right now? Nobody's building shit here right now.
Yeah.
So we're not doing, like, so the head of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, who's a really good buddy of mine. We just golfed together the other day.
Right.
Gorgeous day. And he was just saying, like, there's basically no business between China and Canada right now, like nothing. And so this economy is built on two things: manufacturing and real estate. Those are your two main drivers. And of course, small businesses like mine are always the backbone of any economy.
Right.
So they've shut down all the small businesses. The manufacturing's just, nobody wants their product because nobody can afford it, and you can't even ship it even if you wanted to.
Right.
And real estate, that's the next one. That's the big one. If that one takes a huge hit, then this shit is over. There'll be riots.
Wow. Riots in China.
Oh, no, there already are. Like I was telling you about that video where the cops are fighting the cops and thousands of people. I mean, there are these things, and this is what I'm worried that you're going to see this shit happen back home to certain degrees.
Wow.
You guys got months of this left. Like, this virus is very resilient, man, and it's easily spreadable, right? So I just don't see how you're going to avoid it.
Oh, man, I was so excited to have you on to give me a little bit of hope and a little bit of, hey, everything's gonna be okay. And here you are, just knocking me. No, you know what? This is great information. It really is.
Well, I'll tell you, like, is there light? Yeah, okay. I think come summer, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it happens with viruses in general. When you heat things up a bit, they tend to die out.
That's the rumor.
That's the case here, and that things do recover for everybody, because this global, I mean, we've wiped out trillions off of the global economy.
Oh.
Trillions. So, I mean, we need to pick this thing up. Just also be nice to your parents. Go see them, and but or don't go see them. Whatever, if you might be in those riskier groups, right?
Yeah. Support them in any way you possibly can, whether that's going to see them or not going to see them. Yeah.
Yeah. Just take care of them. Be nice to each other, right?
Right.
What else do? There is a light though, man. I mean, this shit will pass. I mean, the world goes through these things, and this too will come to pass probably within the year. But you guys got some tough sled ahead of you, and you need to be realistic about it, not just sort of going, well, fuck it, it's been a month, I'm going to go out and grab a beer now and be all like it was before, because it ain't like that.
Yeah.
And the second you let your guard down, this thing's going to come around again.
So there have been some rumors coming out here recently in the last couple of days that there is a resurgence of COVID-19 in China. Have you heard this? And what can you say about that?
Okay, this is why they're saying, like, a lot of people are pissed off at foreigners because it was people returning from other countries that were bringing back the virus more than anything. So, and the weird thing about that was it's 90% Chinese nationals coming back, not foreigners like me.
Right.
My buddy Scott and his wife, they came back from LA, and somebody on their plane, so they rerouted them to a town called Qingdao. And in Qingdao, they did tests, and somebody on their plane tested positive. So now he's in a government facility. It's like a 2-star shithole hotel. And he's there for 2 weeks without question before he's allowed back to Beijing. And then once he's back in Beijing, he's under another 2 weeks of quarantine here. Like, they're pissed off, at foreigners almost now, which is crazy, which is insane considering it came from here. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there've been some cases, and this is it. I don't totally believe the Chinese government's numbers either.
I don't think anybody does. Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
So I when I see those official numbers, I think it's more like in the millions, not in the hundreds of thousands.
Right. Yeah, they're making a big deal over here about U.S. passing China in their numbers, and I'm like, here's the thing about those numbers. Number one, are they reporting the proper numbers? Number two, how many people did they actually fucking test? I mean, unless you're testing the entire population, those numbers really don't mean shit.
No, numbers don't mean a thing.
No, it's a very loose guideline of what might be happening out there. So,
no. It's everywhere right now. This is what, again, I don't think people are fully grasping. It's already everywhere. Like the common cold, that kind of thing.
Well, you and I we were talking about this offline as well. I've got friends that we're talking about back in September, August, even back in July, going, man, I had one of the worst flus of my life, and I don't even know where it came from. Like, it just knocked me on my ass, which makes you think, like, is this a virus that came out a year ago?
I think it was. I truly believe that, too, because I was back in November, or maybe even before that, October, that I had this weird cold, and I was coughing all the time. Maybe even before that. I remember, though, thinking, this is very weird.
Yeah.
And I even bought an inhaler, and I don't have anything. I just thought it was just China's shitty air, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and everybody seemed to have it too. Like,
yeah.
Everybody seemed to have it, and then we hear about this come late December.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I bet you anything that's what it was, and it's been widespread already.
Well, and I mean, it's very well known. It's a scientific fact that viruses mutate. and find ways to be stronger and find ways to live longer. So did this virus just come along and go, bam, here we are, I'm going to beat the shit out of people, and then it went, you know what? Okay, they found us too quick and we weren't able to spread. Let's give it a 2-week window where maybe we can infect a few more people before they figure it out and go home. And boom, there it is all the way across the fucking world.
I'll tell you what, once the Spring Festival hit, and this is what everybody kept saying, like when we were here, we were going, fuck me.
You were mentioning just quickly, Spring Festival is like Christmas in China. It's the biggest festival.
Yeah, and it's 2 weeks long, basically, or a week long. I can't remember. It's long, and everybody goes home. Beijing empties out. It's like a ghost town.
Yeah.
But all those people in Wuhan, all those people, they all went back to their villages. They all, like everybody, like 1 billion people migrated across this country, literally. And that was right when the outbreak was happening. So at that point, it's worldwide. If they didn't shut that down, and they didn't, and they should have. But I mean, like I said, how do you say there's no Christmas this year? Like,
well, nobody knew. No, I mean, look, we all want to point fingers at this point now that we see how bad it is. But how do you look at that system at that point and be like, yeah, this is going to be a worldwide phenomenon? Hindsight's 2020. They never knew.
No, I mean, it's one of them things, too. They didn't know what they were dealing with. Nobody knew what they were dealing with. And, I think they reacted fairly quickly. They probably could have jumped a bit sooner. I honestly, like I said, I think they should have just canceled Spring Festival, said, sorry, trains are shut down, everybody stay in their hometowns. And that would have really contained it. But they didn't. And then once it was everywhere, it's everywhere.
That is unbelievable.
Are people back home mad at the Chinese?
No, I haven't heard that. I'm sure there's some, the groups out there that are looking for something are definitely going to use this as an angle for sure. But have I seen it as a...
It does turn out that they're eating fucking bats, though. Like, stop that stupid shit. Like, I've seen,
I've seen the videos.
Scorpions on a stick, or they're eating something mental that I would not eat.
Right? Well, and it's amazing how often... Sorry, go ahead.
Holier than thou sort of, look, I wouldn't eat it, neither should you. But I mean, there's shit you just know you should not be eating. Rats, bats, some of these, whatevers. Don't eat that. Like, what are we thinking?
Well, not even don't eat that. It seems like a lot of times these crazy things happen. It's because we are treating animals in some fucking unnatural way. Remember the mad cow disease? Remember how that fucking went down? They were feeding ground up cows to cows.
Yeah, that seems about right.
When you do unnatural things to fucking animals, unnatural things are going to happen. It seems to be a running problem that we have, and we don't seem to learn from it in any running way here.
You know what else I've been noticing is just how much the environment is cleaned up in a hurry.
Right.
Like I'm telling you, I'm looking out at Beijing and I can see most of it. I can almost see the mountains, and that's pretty damn impressive.
Right.
That you want to see what Beijing looks like? Want me to show you?
I do.
Let's see here. Where did I flip this camera? I don't know how to flip the camera. I'll just turn this.
There you go.
Anyway, there you go. There's Beijing. That's what it looks like.
Holy crap! I've normally seen it way smoggier than that. That looks unbelievable.
Well, let me show you. I'll go to my second bedroom here, and I'll show you what. See, I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm earlier.
Good show.
There's my dogs. So here's the downtown of Beijing. This is right downtown. And that's a pretty day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all right. But you can see, there's nobody on these roads.
No, it's empty.
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about. It's a city of 22 million or so. And there's, nobody around. There's no cranes working. You can see the cranes, but they're not moving.
Yeah.
I mean, all these office buildings are basically empty, man.
So you guys aren't on quarantine, but people are just staying home.
People are just staying home. They don't have to. They just are.
Wow.
They're getting everything delivered. Nothing's, they're not going anywhere. You go into a mall, there is nobody there.
How do your poor people survive right now? What's going on with them?
I don't know, because it's different here. You don't have homeless like you do back home.
Really?
Communist country, right? So there's always sort of something for them.
Okay.
They live in some pretty horrific conditions.
Right.
I I've been in some residences that I've just been like, oh my God, I wouldn't let my dog stay in here. You know,
Right.
but, you know, people get by.
That's unbelievable. Are people?
This country's a trip, man. You should come visit. It'd blow your mind.
Well, as you and I were talking about off air, I think you're going to be a regular visitor here for the next, who knows how long. We're going to have you on every couple of weeks and just kind of keep up. And man, I'd love to come and visit you. It'd be cool to, bring the two podcasts together in one city and see what the hell happens. It'd be cool to bring
Yeah,
them.
we should. We should.
Yeah.
We should really. I mean, it's going to be fucking months before they let anybody in because they've sealed off the borders of China.
Of course.
So nobody's going nowhere for a while. But maybe next year, when all this shit is over, we could have a Qingdao somewhere in the city.
That would be freaking amazing. I think we need to make that happen. You know what? We're sitting at about 50 minutes right now. I think this is a great place to cut her off for the moment. But it's just one chat of many, for sure. Thank you very much for joining me on Matt Talks Back. Once again, this is Trevor Metz. You need to follow his podcast. It's Not a Team Player. Where can they find you?
Find me at Apple or Spotify or Google Play or anywhere you get your podcasts. We also have a website, which is notateampodcast.com.
We will also post that over on the Matt Talks Back Facebook page. So make sure you go hit that link and follow that page as well. Trevor, thank you very much for joining us today. You and I will be sharing many a beer, a Corona and a Guinness over the next little while as well. Keep yourself safe and make sure you're wearing that mask.
Absolutely, buddy. Take care over there. I'm more worried about you guys than I am about us over here. So you take care.
We're locking down. Thanks, brother. Thank you very much.